bring in Jen Psaki. Jen, thank you so much.
White House press secretary.
For being with us. I must say, we were all disappointed that there were not overhead photos of crowd sizes and everything. No, I want to ask you, how much have you studied up on the history of being a press secretary? Because I remember reading Marlin Fitzwater's book and being absolutely fascinated that even on his last day as press secretary, they went after him tough. And he was like, God, I never get a break from these people. They gave him a cake at the end and hugged him. But he said, at that point, I realized they liked me. They were just doing their job. It's a tough job, and I can't take it personally.
That's exactly right, Joe. And I come to this job having sat in that room as a deputy press secretary during the Obama administration. So I know full well that there are days in that briefing room, and there will be days for me, maybe today, where the press are going to come at me hard and they're going to ask me tough questions and they won't be satisfied with what they hear. And we'll have disagreements, as I said yesterday. But that's part of our democracy. And that's part of, having a person who's serving in that role throughout history. I have talked to a lot of my predecessors about this. And you have good days and bad days, and days where you feel like you served the president well, served the American people well, and days where you wish you had said something differently. And that's okay, too. But, I will say that when I talked to President Biden, then President-elect Biden, about this job, he said to me that tone coming from the briefing room and making sure there's alignment on tone and how we're projecting information and sharing data and sharing policy is important to him, and that he would be watching, and he wanted to make sure that we were on the same page, or I'm on the same page as him, of course. And it speaks to what you were saying earlier about how, it really comes from the top, and that's where I take my messaging from, of course, the tone I'm going to speak to from, and that's what I'll try to model, or what I tried to model yesterday.
Well, what we saw over the past 4 years was a lack of understanding of what this job is and why it is so very important. Can you explain what is your job and what is the duty you'll be performing for the American people?
Well, if President Biden were standing here with me right now, he'd say he works for the American people, and so do I. And part of that job is sharing his thinking, sharing information about what the United States government, what the White House is doing on policies to help the American people. It's taking questions, tough questions on many days from the press about those policies, being pushed on our policies and whether we're delivering on our promises. And it's also being straight and transparent, straightforward and transparent. And, there's no better example than that, than COVID-19 and our efforts to get the pandemic under control. There are going to be days where people are not going to be hearing what they want to hear, where the data is going to be concerning and troubling. But we want to bring transparency back. And so we're just going to try to deliver on that in the briefing room. But really the job, the back and forth is the job. The back and forth and that healthy debate and that healthy discussion in the briefing room is part of the job of the White House press secretary.
Hey, Jen, it's Willie. Good morning. Welcome to the job.
Morning.
Look forward to talking to you throughout the next 4 years. As you all have talked about, and the president himself said during the transition, he's going to be sort of bifurcated, which is to say he's got a lot to do. He's got a lot he wants to do legislatively, but he's also dealing with a Senate that's about to embark on an impeachment trial. Does he believe that Donald Trump committed impeachable offenses in the lead up to January 6th?
Well, Willie, it's quite a popular question, which I understand, and I answered a couple times yesterday, and I've talked with him about this as well. Look, he served 36 years in the Senate. He has great respect for what they do and all of the abilities they have, the capacities they have, and the constitutional duty that they're all serving. But he's going to leave it to them to determine what the path forward should be on the pace, on the steps, on the mechanics of holding the president accountable. Former president, I should say, I'm still adjusting to that. He will be in touch with them about that. But, his focus is going to be on getting the pandemic under control. And that's how he's going to use his bully pulpit, how he's going to direct conversations with them as he's engaging with Democrats and Republicans. And that's what he's going to do in the days ahead.
Well, obviously, the trial is up to the Senate, but does the president have a personal view of whether Donald Trump committed impeachable offenses?
He spent 36 years in the Senate. He's retired from the Senate, and now he's governing for all of the American people. So he's going to focus on delivering on what he feels that he promised to deliver on when he was running for office.
Obviously, coronavirus is sitting in front of you right now, Jen. If you can lay out the plan for the American people who, frankly, have been waiting for a plan for an entire year, what's happening today to change the trajectory of a crisis that claimed a new record yesterday in terms of deaths?
Well, Willie, today the president will be signing 10 executive orders building on what he already did yesterday in signing a mask mandate, rejoining the World Health Organization. And today he'll lay out more specifics about what the path forward will look like, what our distribution plan will look like, the steps he can take that are within his presidential power to do that. I'm also going to be bringing Dr. Fauci to the briefing room today as part of our effort to ensure we're having public health experts, medical experts really leading our communication about the process that is underway to get the pandemic under control. But it's multi-part, Willie, and we're not going to be able to get out of the pandemic or get the pandemic under control overnight. It's going to take months and months, and we want to also be clear in setting that expectation with the American public. So today he'll spend the day talking about it. He'll deliver some remarks to the public, really outlining his more specifics on the vaccine plans, more specifics on restrictions that he's going to put in place to keep people healthy and safe, and we'll build from there. It's just the beginning.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.